Welcome to the East Long Meadow Public Schools School Committee meeting, August 17th, 2026, 5 o'clock p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Sure. Samantha Velasquez, Secretary.
Pamela Blair, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Joni Menard, Superintendent.
Antonella Rochella.
Carrie Drzewski.
Amy Delenta.
And Sarah Trulio.
Heather Brown, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning.
That's the TV.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. Approval of minutes. Someone like to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the 22nd, 2026 regular session meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Amy, seconded by Carrie. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
And I'll abstain because I wasn't present at that meeting.
All right, so 3 ayes and 1 nation. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the June 29th, 2026 executive session.
Motion made by Amy,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
And I'll abstain again because I was not there.
All right, carries 3-0 and 1 abstention.
Motion to approve the 29th, 2026 regular session meeting minutes.
Motion made by Amy,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
And one abstention.
Carries 3 and 1 abstention. And the last one?
Make a motion to approve the July 1st, 2026 regular session meeting minutes.
Motion made by Amy,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That carries 4-0.
Thank you.
And any committee and subcommittee communications?
Nothing.
Right. There's nothing at this time. And opportunity for visitors to address the committee? No. All right. So let's get started then. Presentations.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to make a brief announcement. First of all, I'm thrilled to be in East Long Meadow, very excited to start my tenure here, and it's been very welcoming. I will do a presentation in September about my entry plan, but I just want to let you all know that I'm in my transition pre-entry phase, meeting with a lot of people in the community, school committee members, town council members, administrators, central office people, and I'll just keep expanding it. So I'll just give you further detail in September. Just want to give you the heads up. So thank you for the warm welcome.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent, Business Report.
Yeah, so in your packet, 5.2.1 are the end-of-year transfers. I did meet with the Finance Subcommittee in June, which the committee had approved these. So this is just a formality for the school committee to officially approve these transfers. The grand total was $279,991, consisted from moving funds from paraprofessional, vocational tuition, medical therapeutic contracted service, professional development, student activities, and teachers. Those are the budget lines to SPED assessments, classroom supplies, special ed supplies, special ed contract services, legal services, tutoring, technology, custodial, instructional software, and long-term substitutes. And again, that grand total was $279,991.
Pam, do we need to?
Yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the FY '26 end-of-year transfers for $279,991.
Motion made by Carrie,
Second?
seconded by Amy. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? 4-0.
Great, thank you. Okay, so still me, 5.2.2, and this is your FY '27 grants that the school committee always needs to officially accept. And that is, you have your Title I. I did write down here, I thought you would be curious from FY '26 to FY '27, whether there was an increase or a decrease. As we all know, there was a lot of conversation over this past year about grants and what might happen. And, we're happy to say we did have some slight reductions, which I'll state here, but they were not as significant as what maybe they were projecting. So we're happy about that. Title I went down $19,966. Title IIA went down $10,781. Title IV actually went up $3,324. Special Ed Early Childhood went up $781. Special Ed IDEA grant went down $23,795. So those are all the federal grants, which equates to a reduction of $50,437 in total there. The state grants, we have the METCO grant, that stayed equal. The METCO B grant, which was really a rollover from one year to the other. This is how they do it now. They call it a METCO B. So that was an increase of $7,415. Comprehensive School Health grant from DPH, that stayed level at the $72,000. So the state grants are $463,183 in total. I don't know if I said the federal grant total, $1,224,075. So I just need the school committee to officially accept those grants.
I like how you put the descriptions next to them.
Oh, good.
It's helpful. Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the FY '27 federal and state grants as presented.
Okay, motion made by Amy,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Carries 4.
Great. We'll get those set up and start expending those funds. Thank you. And lastly, this is support personnel. So in executive session, we did have a discussion about the support staff proposed hourly rates and daily rate for the substitutes, of which the committee has given a 3-year acceptance of these proposed hourly rates. So I would ask that the committee officially approve these in open session here so I can implement these for this new upcoming year. And, yeah.
Do they have to actually say what the rates were, or can we just,
I think you can say as presented.
okay.
If you'd like me to, I could read them.
No, you don't have to read them.
Okay.
Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the proposed hourly rates as presented for the part-time support staff.
Motion made by Carrie, seconded by Amy. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Carries 4-0.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll get those implemented in payroll for the first payroll, so folks will have a slight increase, which I'm happy to say. The prior 3 years, it was level rates for 3 years, so the committee has increased those slightly. The last item is 5.2.4, and this is a donation check. You'll see that Principal Frank Page has submitted a letter here to please accept the $500 check donated by Green Team Junk to East Long Meadow High School for future use for an environmental initiative. These funds were raised from an e-cycle drive that recently took place in East Long Meadow. So with your approval, Frank would like to put this into the high school gift account for future use for the school.
Thank you. Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the $500 donation check from Green Team Junk to the East Long Meadow High School gift account.
All right, motion made by Amy,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Carries 4-0.
Thank you. I'll get that to positive for the high school.
Um,
You're welcome.
Slide.
All right, Director of Curriculum and Assessment Report.
Yes, so I just want to update you on a few things. One, we had I'll just start talking about it before it's just a picture of folks, successful literacy tutoring program this summer. So just to give a little bit more background, we used to have a summer academy that was funded by ESSER funds and supplemented by the Early Literacy Consortium grant, thanks to our partnership with Springfield Public Schools. And so the grant allowed for aspiring teachers, which they are called literacy intervention teachers from local colleges, to work alongside our veteran teachers for the Summer Literacy Academy. Last year, we weren't able to do this due to lack of funding, but this April, the Western Mass Literacy Collaborative reached out to see if we would be interested in hosting LITs. I shared that we did not have the funding, and they were able to secure funding through the Davis Foundation and pay the LITs through Elms College. They were also able to pay for a literacy coach, who's our extraordinary Tracy Merrick there in the blue dress, to coach them. And Springfield Public Schools also provided materials that they purchased with the Early Literacy Consortium grant. And next slide, please. And so this is, sorry, if you go back, sorry. This is a celebration that I was not able to attend, but Dr. Menard was able to attend, where the LITs show off different artifacts from their learning. And it was a great success, and now you can change, thank you.
To add that they were very impressed by East Long Meadow Schools. I was able to talk to each of the teachers, and hopefully we're gonna get some of them to come back.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So we were able to offer 4 weeks of high-quality literacy tutoring for 33 students, rising first through fifth, although the majority were the younger kiddos. We first reached out to students that we had identified as needing extra help, and then because we found out about the funding so late and we wanted this to happen, then we just reached out to families in general. So the majority of the kids that we were working with needed the extra support, but some just used, an extra boost coming, and we were able to differentiate, which is great, thanks to Tracy's work. So she organized pre and post Dibbles and Math CR assessment data. She utilized the Wilson's Ready to Rise Foundations curriculum, but she aligned them to Hill's 10-step lesson plan, and then also had a whole language comprehension piece, as well as small group instruction based on data. So it was a well-oiled machine. Tracy was really amazing and doing all of this, but not doing it for them, really helping the teachers. And so one teacher even said, or LIT, I should call them, said, I am ready to pass my Foundations of Reading test now because of this experience. So it was really, really successful, and we hope we continue to do something like this, and if we ever are able to have funding to expand it. But I just wanted to highlight how well that went. There is an outside research group because they did something with the Western Mass Literacy Program that they did in the summers last year. So there's an outside research group who's looking at all our it's all anonymous data, that our pre and post data, as well as, comparing it to the attendance and things like that. I did my own little calculations, and let me just share. Again, this is not taking into account attendance, so it might be very different. But oral reading fluency, which was all the rising second graders up to the rising fifth graders, it went from, there was an average gain of 6 words per minute. And the nonsense word fluency, which we used with the littlest ones, because oral reading fluency, when you're not actually reading whole words yet, doesn't really make sense. The average gain was 9.3. So I'm sure the research group who, can pull all of these things together will have more accurate data, but that was positive. And this is the next slide. And this was like Dr. Menard said, this is Dr. Porter from Elms College. She said, some of the LITs shared the stories of how the reluctant students were proud to share their project today. Nothing can match the feeling of hearing a new interest and seeing students demonstrate what they have learned. Thank you for organizing SLNE and providing such an outstanding experience for the LITs and the ELPS students they taught. So it was a great experience. Any questions before I move on to the next one? Okay, next slide, please. So, the phone-free school support grant, I applied back in June. We have not, no one has heard yet. This is, the House and Senate bills still differ. This is just from a few days ago on August 12th. So they're still figuring out, which bill they're going to go. One has more bans against, not just phones, but social media. And then and this is from the newspaper as well, that there's surrounding districts who already have cell phone bans in place. Obviously, we don't have necessarily an updated bell-to-bell policy yet because we're waiting on the funding that would help us get these yonder pouches, but I did want to give you an update on where that's at. Okay, next slide, please. And then finally, the beginning of the year trainings are getting a little boost. We're making sure that they are aligned to all the new policies. We've introduced the AI policy that you all passed last year, data privacy. So making sure it's very current, but also we're working on making them a little more interactive. We're still making sure that the time does not increase too much, but we want to make sure that teachers have time to kind of interact with the information rather than just clicking through a PowerPoint. And so those should be ready, if not at the end of this week, at the beginning of the following week. So they're still aligned to all of our policies. We just cleaned them up and added some of our new policies to make sure that everyone's up to date on all the things. That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The mandated trainings, when do the teachers complete those?
So they get time on that very first day. That's been negotiated. Anyone who can say more about that, I don't have the exact. So that we do provide time, and then we have timelines as to when things need to be completed.
Okay.
I think the allergy one is the most pressing one, for obvious reasons.
Right. Right, our next item, old business. East Long Meadow High School Business Project Update. Is there anyone that wants to come up and
I would love to come.
welcome back?
Thank you. So happy to be back and to see you all again. I miss you all. Joni, welcome to your first school committee meeting. Sarah, welcome back. Good to have you back. Super excited about the school. I'm sure you've all seen it. All the things going on over there. It looks fantastic. Certainly want to acknowledge the school building committee. It's been a lot of work for this group to get to this point that we're almost there to open the building. Want to acknowledge the pool building committee, a little less of a commitment, but also produced a fantastic structure, and we're going to get a lot of use out of that. And also want to recognize our builder, Fontaine Brothers, Skanska, our owner, project manager, and Jones Whitsitt, our architects, all fantastic in the work that they've done for the town. We picked the right people to work with, and it's been quite an honor to work alongside them. Couple of things that are coming up, dates coming up. We have Friday, August 21st at 12:30. Actually, we're going to meet and talk about the pool. So Joni and I had a conversation last week in coordination with Rec and the high school staff. We'll start to establish some pool hours potentially for the community. You all remember when we first put the proposal out to the town, we said it would be a community pool. It would be open for hours during the day, and we're committed to working on that. So that's going to happen Friday the 21st. Also the 21st, we're going to do a tour. You're going to be there. Sarah, you're welcome to come if you can make it. That'll be our final tour. The school building committee is going to walk through finally and take one more look. Thursday, October 15th, we've scheduled a ribbon cutting, and I hope that works for folks. That's 3 p.m. That's a Thursday. We're going to invite state officials, local officials. We'll have some of you speak and all for that.
Day was that?
That's October 15th. That's a Thursday. And we're going to move that to 3 p.m. per your request, Antonella.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
The tour Friday, do you have to wear pants?
You know the routine.
Sorry.
You do, yes. Yeah, PPE is still in effect. Yeah, we're still PPE in effect. Yep.
All right, I just want to make sure.
No open
Hard hat. Yeah,
They had to go home last time.
I know.
That's
Oh, I heard all about
We
it,
were
I know.
there too.
These two, yeah.
Yes.
The two that should know the most, yeah.
well,
And finally, Saturday, October 17th, in conjunction with Mr. Page, we've coordinated an open house for the new school, and that'll be 2 to 4.
Can you say that date again? Sorry.
Saturday, October 17th, 2 to 4. We're hoping to have a big turnout like we did for the old school when we had a tour of that. We had over 700 people show up for that one. So we'll see how many come out to see the new building. Pretty exciting for that. A couple other things to make note of. I spoke of the pool, the Redstone Quarry Natatorium is the official name of that. That will be opening the same time as the school, so they're on schedule for that project as well. Be open for us. We will see you next time in the Seven Roads Room at the new high school. We'll all be meeting. I just want to make a plug for that one. That's for you, Amy. Some other exciting things. So the project has really come in on budget, and I give a lot of credit to Fontaine, Skanska, and Jones Whitsett. So we're actually looking at some other opportunities to really finish the project. Things that we are looking at, we've already purchased some art display walls that will be mobile. Those will come and go. They were quite an expense, but we're hoping to expand the art program within the high school. That was a specific request from one of the teachers. We are planning on a new carpet for the turf a year from now. So that's still, we're still pricing that out, but there are funds available, and it's a drastic need that we will have to fund eventually, probably around $1 million. So we are looking to do that. That would be next summer if we're able to do it. We are also looking to build or have built a auxiliary building inside the stadium. So out on the back end, grass area, we have on campus currently. I believe there's 4 storage containers. Shipping containers, 10 by 40. They're trying to get rid of some of those. So we may either build like a Butler building or get a pre-built large shed dropped off. We're still in discussion about that, but just to give a little more space and a little more formalized space for all the sports equipment that's now in those containers.
And you wouldn't have to pay the rent on the shipping containers.
Right, yep, although we might own those.
I think those are owned, we
Yeah,
don't pay, yep.
And in all reality, I would imagine we'll keep them anyway,
Yeah.
but that's up to those that be. Want to give a shout out to Tom O'Brien and his family. He's donated several redstone accents to the project. One which will be a bench inside the Redstone Quarry Natatorium right outside. We're going to make a nice bench out of redstone. A lot of the accent pieces around the building in redstones have been provided by Tommy. And he actually proposed a welcome sign that we're planning on carving in the redstone. That's still up for discussion in SBC. But it might say something like East Long Meadow, a great place to raise a family is what the O'Brien family was asking for. So we may go in something like that.
where would it go?
So there's the walkway. So if you look at the building, the driveway immediately, there's only one driveway now. We got rid of the horseshoes, the centralized driveway. To the left, there is a meandering path towards the school. It would be along that path is where they're talking about doing. And it'll be official. They'll pour a concrete pad and have it engraved professionally. But nice little touch for local touch and a little character. And we're glad to have the O'Brien family support on all that. One of the things I want you to look out for is we're discussing some is snow removal. There's some discussion on the amount of sidewalks that we have now with the new building versus the old building. As you will remember, custodians were responsible for clearing the sidewalks immediately in front of the school prior. Now there are 6 times that probably in lengthwise. So we have to coordinate with DPW and school staff on who's going to do that, what kind of equipment that's going to entail. So that's still up for air. I just want you to be aware of that. And we'll see where that goes. And I'm sure Joni will be on top of that going forward.
Town manager and I have a meeting with DPW already. We're
Okay.
just start the conversation.
Awesome.
So.
And then my final point is Fontaine believes they will be done this time next year with the entire project. As you know, to the right side is a lot of work to do still with the softball and baseball fields. Those are not in yet, and they will not be there this year. On the back side of the field, and Jamie has some pictures for us, we'll show you, we do have 3 existing fields that will were put in. So we'll have 3 grass fields to start. We can start from the beginning if you want. And I want to thank Jamie, has been super helpful in all of this and providing the pictures today and doing a bunch of the tour videos with us too. So as you can see, the left one, the main one, that's the main entry and the staircase leading up to the library or the media center. If you were to walk straight down those stairs and straight out, would be the front door of the building. To the right is just the standard hallway. You can see some of the geometric shapes they put in the ground. And then the bottom right is just some of the display panels that they have been putting in some of the hallways. The trophy case, so the new trophy cases for athletic trophies, the high school staff did pare down the existing trophies that were there, probably took about half and put them in the new building, and the other half are in the process of being sent back to either participants or coaches or teams, whatever they can find. There was a lot of older trophies that we didn't need to bring, so we can have room for new ones. So there'll be plenty of room for those going forward. The bathroom pods, as you've all been into the new building, on the second floor of the educational wings, we have pods for the bathrooms. So they're individual bathrooms. That's the yellow walls there, and those will be able to be used by anyone. There will be specific staff bathrooms. But other than that, those are individual bathrooms. Top right would be, and just in terms of bathrooms, because it's a big discussion all the time for us, the first floor bathrooms will be your traditional airport-style bathrooms. The second floor has the pods, like you see here. Top right picture is the auditorium. I will tell you, this is one of the most beautiful auditoriums I have ever seen. We should be using it as much as possible. I know the acoustics will be fantastic. They're getting trained on the lighting. And so this is going to be a magnificent space for the school and for the community. And then one of the science classrooms on the bottom right. A little more
How many
modern.
seats are in the auditorium, do you know?
Less than we have now.
I know.
100. I think we have 7 something now, and we're going to 5. So MSBA only allows for a certain number.
Yeah.
Right.
And it makes sense, because if you think of an auditorium, it's used 4 days a year, 6 days a year maybe, or, I'm exaggerating, but not every day of the school year. So to have that large of a space, MSBA would almost reimburse us. But it's a nice space, intimate, you've been in it, the light, it's got natural light, it's gonna be great for activities, yeah.
Spartano.
Yeah, they'll have to probably add additional shows to
Frank
Spartan, I mean, they talk.
Adding some extra nights.
So you can, go ahead, Jamie.
Say, we're also gonna be live streaming more too. I don't know if that will help, but
It's both the auditorium and Seven Roads will have standing cameras, correct, Jamie? Yeah. So that'll be great. The campus, as I mentioned, the turf field, looking to replace that next year. The green space in the back of the turf is where we were talking about that extra building. The tennis courts are being used around the clock, it appears, whenever I go there. They're being used all the time. It's fantastic. You want to jump back, Jamie?
But are the basketball courts done yet?
Basketball, that was one other thing I wanted to mention. So the basketball courts are in. Finally, we have outdoor basketball courts. They're right, see the blacktop to the, right where, the lines are in, the hoops are in, and we're now looking at the opportunity to put lights on those as well. There aren't currently lights, but with the extra funding, we may be able to put lights. And really, it should be used around the clock. Obviously not late at night, but I foresee, kids playing on this, till 7, 8, 9 at night. It's going to be a great asset to the community. Directly next to those basketball courts is the new swimming pool. And you can see the new configuration of the parking lot with the one exit instead of the horseshoe. So in the back, the new green area is sod. We actually had funding enough to sod the back fields. There they are. Those will be 2 multi-purpose fields, so soccer and field hockey and lacrosse. And then the one to the right is slightly smaller, so that'll just be a practice field. But we do have 3 fields that we hope, Fontaine was going to do some core testing on it. We hope they're ready to come online. They should be ready to come online for the fall season, which would be great because right now we're very limited, as you all know, and we've been using other spaces. And I want to mention, this picture shows it so very well, and I'm disappointed that you can't see it from the street, Pam. The photovoltaic, right? See the solar panels on this building? So we did make a significant investment in photovoltaic. It should cover approximately 1/3 of the electricity cost of the building. As you all recall, this is a 100% electric building. The only gas in the building is to heat the pool. Everything else is electric. So the committee felt It was a responsible investment to, put back to the grid, show the kids that we're making an effort to make clean energy. And so we have a full photovoltaic array on the school. However, we've been warned that it may take a year before they're allowed to come online, and that's based on the utility companies getting things together. So they're in place, they're up, they're almost ready to go, but it may be another year till we recognize that. So it's actually a good opportunity, because we'll see there'll be an increase in electricity, obviously, from the old building. We'll see how that affects the town building, and then we can see how the solar panels will impact it next year. And like I said, we're hoping to get a third of that cost back from these. This is the back of the school. The left side is the back of the cafeteria. There will be an opportunity for students to eat outside. There's an overhang. That white rectangle at the top is probably a 7-foot overhang. There'll be tables under that, so even in inclement weather, they can go outside. And then out in that concrete area, there's that kind of pergola semi-shaded area, and there'll be tables out there. And that's right outside that main auditorium, which is cafeteria, which is the main spine of the building. The right side is the greenhouse. So that little jet out on the right side picture next to that round, yeah, right there is the new greenhouse. And so another opportunity for students to learn, try some new things. And the space outside is kind of like a classroom area. So it's got that curved seating area. If a teacher wanted to go out, there's a little bit of shade, and it's a beautiful space out there. It's really tucked in against the woods. You can hear the birds chirping. It's going to be a great place. Ken, they're there. I trust me.
It's important.
Yeah, it is important. Just another look. This is the second floor of the educational wings. Some of the geometric shapes. There is a lot of color in this building. This picture doesn't show that, but it's a very colorful building.
One thing, if you can go back, if you don't mind me saying, what I love too is there's a lot of collaborative spaces throughout the whole building, and this is one example, right?
Yeah.
So teachers can use it in such a 21st century way, right? So it's very nice to see all that.
Yeah, and there's teacher prep rooms on in each wing for the teachers to work together. There's also the outside art area, which is between the educational wings and the auditorium, which also is set up kind of like a classroom style. If folks want to take a classroom out there, there's some grass and some curved space with some seating. So I don't think we have a picture of that one, but that'll be a nice space. This is the media room upstairs, second floor. We will have books, and those are the bookshelves. So that space is going to be great. This is the office, the main office, Sam's space, right? That's your,
I think that's
mailroom?
high school.
High school.
High school.
oh, yeah, high school, right. High school office space. Typical classroom, new furniture, the whole building has new furniture. I think that's it, Jamie? Oh, the front of the building, yep. So just to remind everyone in the public, the architects took some hints from the quarries of East Long Meadow's history. And so these overhangs that you saw in that last picture are a look back to that and the dedication to that. So that's kind of where they got some inspiration and why it's a little sharper than some of the other schools out there. But I think it looks fantastic. Anything else I can answer for anyone? We are super excited. We are.
So exciting.
Hey, yeah, it's a long time coming, right, Heather? Yeah.
Oh, that was a really nice presentation. A lot of good
I
information.
appreciate Jamie for bringing the pictures. I texted her earlier today and said, please do you have pictures for me? And she did. Thank you, Jamie, for that. I also wanted to mention, I have taken the position of JV soccer coach for the high school. So if anybody wants to come and watch a game, girls, please do. Come sit on the bench with us if you'd like. Front row seat. And we'll be back in touch, I'm sure. And I'll see you Friday.
Yeah,
And that's all I've got. I miss you guys.
sounds great.
Happy to see you all again.
We'll invite you back to the
Please do.
meeting.
Please. Oh, the next one. I do have a life, I think. Maybe not. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you.
Next item, new business, preschool milestone enrollment.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Just to run through an overview, and Kate and Renee are here to answer any specific questions that might come up. We have an interesting situation where our preschool program, our Milestones program, that is the program that was developed to be substantially separate for students who have a more significant need and need a lot more related services and a lot more special education services than can be met in the inclusive environment. And we have, over the course of the last few weeks, received a lot of additional enrollment of students in the pre-K that require that type of support. I just wanted to run through, it was in your packets, just some of the parameters that we're working up against here. Currently, we have 16 students whose IEPs require them to be in a substantially separate preschool environment. And that is as we go into the school year. We're constantly seeing enrollment in our pre-K for several reasons. One, because we're required by law to start a student on an IEP and in our schools by their third birthday if they're identified through early intervention. And so, you know, children turn 3 throughout the school year, not conveniently in September or August while we're planning for that. So being right at the top of some of those instructional grouping requirements, which I'll go through with you in a second, puts us in an interesting position at this point in the year, because we really also have to be planning for students who enroll throughout the year because of their third birthday. But also, one of the reasons that we're having these students move in is that a lot of what we're seeing is students that are being placed in the district in foster care homes through DCF. And so it's not necessarily something that we planned for, that parents were aware that they were going to have those needs, but because of the fact that they've been moved in through the DCF system, it's not something we really could have planned for. If you look at item 2, I've gone through just a couple of the legal references that kind of tie into situations like this. First of all, for our youngest students, age 3 and 4, substantially separate programs are considered any program that 50% or more of the students assigned to that program have disabilities, and that is definitely the case in these substantially separate programs. It's 100%. And for those programs that are considered substantially separate, the class sizes are limited to 9 students with 1 teacher and 1 paraprofessional. And so obviously with there being 16 students, it requires us to open up a second Milestones type program, so a second substantially separate program to meet those needs. And the other legal reference I just wanted to draw your attention to is the 603 CMR 2884, which talks about how school districts have an obligation to evaluate children who are 2.5 years of age who may be receiving early intervention, and so that we're prepared to welcome them into our schools with a fully formed IEP by their third birthday. We have been running our Milestones program currently as a mixture between pre-K students and kindergarten students, because you can have up to 4 years of an age span between your youngest and oldest students in those programs. But there are different requirements in terms of the grouping sizes for our students who are 5 years and older than there are for our younger students. And so we have a little bit more leeway for our kindergarten and older students. They will allow 8 students to 1 certified special education teacher in a substantially separate program, or 12 students to 1 certified special ed teacher and 1 para. And then there's also some additional leeway that you can get as if students join throughout the year. You can appeal to DESE to have an additional few students added, as long as you have a plan for the following year. So what we would like to propose is adding a second Milestones program just for this upcoming school year, which would allow us to split that group to have a dedicated pre-K Milestones program of about 7 students as of when I put this presentation together for you on Friday. We're learning of more students every day that are coming into the district that may also be appropriate for that program. And then there would be 9 kindergarten students that would be remaining in that Milestones program. We would only need that for this upcoming school year because we already sort of had a plan to address this for down the road. We have at Meadowbrook a program called the Transition Program, which operates very much like the learning centers that we have in our other schools. And it ends up being, you know, a very few students. I would also argue that in grades 1 and 2, students that are academically behind are not all that academically behind that we couldn't try to meet their needs in an inclusion setting, which is what we had already planned to do before we had the uptick in the enrollment. And so that teacher of that program, or that position, I would say, not necessarily that teacher, but that position is going to be repurposed in the following school year, so in our FY28 school year, to be a dedicated preschool liaison, special ed preschool liaison. And so we can be more discerning in who we decide to enroll in that Milestones program. We can make it truly be for those students who require that ABA methodology in order to meet their goals, where right now, because that's our only option, we're kind of also lumping in some other high-needs students because we just don't have special ed teachers attached to the preschool program to meet their needs. So that will be our plan going forward. So we're asking for one additional Milestones ABA teacher for the FY27 school year to help us meet the needs of the students that are in front of us right now as we.
And can you please remind everybody of your roles so everybody knows?
Oh,
At
of
home?
course, I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, that's okay.
So I'm Jenny Sullivan, I'm the Director of Student Services for East Long Meadow Public Schools. I just finished my first full year here, but essentially 2 years. And again, it's been super welcoming, getting to know everybody has been great. It's a great community. I'm so excited to hear about the new school. I can't wait to move in there, everything looks beautiful, but Anne?
Renee Lodi, principal at Meadowbrook.
Kate Leiden, assistant principal at Meadowbrook.
Any questions about what I've presented or questions for Renee and Kate about the specific student population? All right.
How are you feeling about space in terms of opening up another classroom?
In a normal year, Sarah, that would be a big concern for us because we've closed down, like, we don't have an AV room, we don't have a storage closet, we are utilizing every space. But our kindergarten enrollment last year was the lowest I've seen in 15 years in this district, and we were actually able to reduce by one classroom. So if you recall, I think you were on school committee years ago, we had a bubble where we needed an extra teacher because we got so big in kindergarten. We had the opposite of that. So now that class is moving up to first grade and we can still meet their needs with just 7 classrooms instead of 8. So for this year and next year, I have 1 extra classroom space. Beyond that, we're going to have to get a little creative. But as I've seen with our preschool numbers and just year to year, we've seen huge fluctuations in our enrollment. I actually thought this kindergarten class last year was going to be huge because it was the kiddos that were conceived during COVID, but it actually turned out to be the exact opposite of that.
It filled right back up this year, though.
It sure did.
Any other questions? No? All right. Do we need to vote on this? Is the funding all set?
I would think so, right? Yeah, Pam, do you want to fill that in and then?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what exactly we said about that.
I know, we did have a
funding. I'm
conversation
so sorry.
a while ago.
Oh, yeah, so it makes perfect sense to utilize the preschool tuition funding. And so, yes, we do, and I feel really good and confident about the plan, which is why we wanted to bring the team in to talk about it. I love the fact that they're already strategizing, and it's just a short-term, problem that we have. And so we are excited about the whole program, and the space that Renee talked about is right across the hall, right? So it's perfect. It's just, the stars have aligned for this to happen for this year and have a secondary plan for next year.
It'd be great if you could take a vote on it. It'd be great.
Do you have another question? No, it's okay. You can ask it.
I was just curious about the schedule, how that's impacting like the teacher schedules and lunch schedules and like a separate classroom. Like, have they been able to figure out, like, are they collapsing for art, or if they're going to get music services sometimes, and especially when you're thinking about K-bound kids?
With the preschool students, the teacher prep time is built in a different way. We have a slightly later start. So the kids aren't built into the special schedules for preschool. We bring in Mackenzie Paolini she does adaptive PE. She does a group with them. We bring in Rusty for music. He does a little group with them. So we're able to provide them some specials without pushing into the entire special schedule. If I had to push into the special schedule, I couldn't make this work. We'd be looking for alternatives for that because our special schedule is full.
Thank you. All right. Someone like to make a motion to, do you already have the staffing, or you said you had to hire?
We would need to post and hire for it.
For the teacher and a para?
I think we're good with the para currently, so just the extra teacher.
Would like to make a motion?
I make a motion to access the pre-K funds to hire an additional teacher for a second milestone classroom.
Motion made by Carrie,
Second?
seconded by Amy. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I get to stay for the next one.
All right.
Thank
Also
you.
here to talk to you about some changes to some DESI regulations that will require an update to our policy. A school committee policy JKAA, why didn't I not see that on my notes here? It's actually changes to 604 CMR 18, which is the use of timeout, seclusion, and physical restraint. And it's actually was voted on in June of 2025 and goes into effect today. So it's timely for us to be meeting about that. The biggest changes that have been made are around the use of seclusion, which they are defining as any involuntary confinement of a student alone in a room or area with or without adult supervision from which the student is not permitted to leave. So they've been a little bit more clear about what that exactly means over the last few weeks, so it's not as big a deal as we thought it was going to be. Now they're saying as long, if an adult is in the room, physically in the room with the student, that's not considered seclusion. That was up in the air for a little while. What is onerous about the changes to the use of seclusion is that we can only use it in absolute emergency situation, but there's a lot of caveats around that. So it's an emergency situation, but it has to be a student that we've already identified as having problematic behaviors that are not responsive to other less intrusive means. So it's a student that if a new student pops up, use of seclusion is not an option. It's got to be a known student that you've got documented that this is the most appropriate approach. In addition to that, we have to have on file before we use emergency seclusion signatures from a licensed physician who is attesting to the fact that there are no medical contraindications for the seclusion, a licensed mental health professional who will attest to the fact that there are no psychological or behavioral contraindications. At one point, there was some discussion that a school adjustment counselor may be able to qualify as a mental health professional. That is not true. I was just at a conference where the special ed director from DESI put up a giant list of all the people that could be considered, and school counselors are not on that list. So it's an outside mental health professional. You also have to have signed consent from the parents to utilize seclusion, and you have to have signed consent from the principal. All of those signatures have to be gathered in advance. And the goal ultimately being, and there's other smaller regulations around disciplining students with disabilities that have also been recently passed. And the state is sending a message loud and clear. They don't want us excluding students with special needs from the classroom. They want them to have access. So they really want us thinking about how we reduce all of our exclusionary practices. And part of the new seclusion regulation speaks to the fact that within 3 years of implementation, so 3 years from today, the districts have to have a solid plan for how they're going to eliminate the use of seclusion and reduce the amounts of restraints. So they're really asking us to be thinking about our policies, how we respond to students when they're dysregulated, and trying to come up with ways that we can train our staff to keep the kids in as much as possible. They don't want them losing time on learning. So everything, all of these more recent changes to the regulations all point to a real desire to decrease our exclusionary practices. So for today, we have a policy JKAA, and then we have JKAAR, which is just the resources that go along with the policy. Those are the actual procedures that we'll put into place. I also included for you to look at, our attorneys had developed the parent notification levels, or letters, and the forms by which we can gather all the signatures and all the information we need. And obviously we want to get that as soon as possible in place for students that would benefit from that, because what we don't want to have is seclusion is a way sometimes for us to get a child out of an unsafe situation without having to restrain, which is extremely traumatic for the child and for the adult that has to restrain the child. So the fact that they're really limiting our use of seclusion, we've been very worried in the field that this is going to result in more restraints of students because they're limiting our other options of how we deal with that. So I hope if that is the case, it's a short-term case and that we really can come up with a plan for training our staff to deal with the situation, be more proactive, intervene before a child gets dysregulated. The state's actually brought in Ross Green. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. I've been a fan for a long time. He talks a lot about collaborative problem solving and intervening. His new book talks about intervening before it's too late, before a kid gets dysregulated. And DESE's actually hired him to create training modules for staff and to kick off this work. So I'd love to see us do something as a district with his new book. It's called The Kids That Aren't Okay. And he talks about a very concrete plan that you can put into place to develop that. So I'm excited about that. Another component of this is that there will be state reporting that's required. So we have to track this similar to how we track restraint now. So there's a portal that actually went live today where anytime seclusion is used, it has to be reported. And there are parameters around how often you inspect the spaces where students are secluded to make sure they're safe and well lit and properly ventilated and properly heated. And also they want school teams, including the principals and anyone else involved in either a response team or teachers in classes that have students that tend to be more dysregulated, to be weekly and monthly and annually looking at trends in the data to hopefully try to decrease the use. And so I think I've covered all of the details that are relevant for you all to know about.
Can you say about the training you arranged for tomorrow at our admin retreat?
Yes, so tomorrow at the admin retreat, we have our attorney, Tammy Fay, one of our attorneys coming to do a training with the principals. We also have some training that has to happen. Restraint training is not technically considered a special education initiative. It's a general ed, and so there is a requirement for all staff to be trained in our new policy and our new procedures. Heather has added that, I think, to her interactive PowerPoint that she's been talking about. But also the guy that we use for our restraint training, Brennan, he's updated his presentation as well. So anyone that's going for that training will get some additional updated training on that as well. So we've got some things planned over the next couple of weeks to get us up and running and ready to address. So, but your job today would be to just review the policy. I believe, how many readings do you typically do before you adopt a policy? Is there, because I think we had hoped that this would have happened at the end of last year, but it got overlooked. So being that it went into effect today, I would just ask that if there's a procedure for waiving the multiple reads that if you're comfortable with that, we'd like to get this passed sooner rather than later.
Were we supposed to get something besides the one-page regulatory amendments?
I think they were linked.
Aha.
There's a link to the actual policies in that.
I have to download it.
Awesome. I hope people can access it.
Yep.
Okay. And I'll welcome any questions you might have.
So as a function of the training tomorrow, will be communicated to principals, and then I'm assuming that there's no child, currently no student in ELPS who would be eligible for any form of seclusion based on the amount of signatures and data.
Correct. We didn't get out ahead of this fast enough to get those in place before the end of last school year. So hopefully we will, most principals have an idea of the kids that they will need to get those signatures in place for. And I'm hoping parents will understand too. I have been receiving some of the communications that have been shared by our out-of-district schools that house some of our students, like for example, the May Center put together a really comprehensive family communication. So I'm also hoping that we can come up with some way to communicate this to families so they understand why we would choose seclusion over some other options. And, we can clearly communicate that so they understand when they get the paper what it is they're signing.
But that will be a function of tomorrow, like the principals will be made,
Principals will, yeah, we'll start.
but then it can start to go. And is there a timeline by which the training that you've put forward through the interactive PowerPoint, like when that's due to be complete for educators?
It's supposed to be completed, all the mandatory compliance training by September 30th. I
Something
believe.
like that, yeah. I have to check the date, but.
Yeah.
Since we moved forward, I don't know if we need to switch the number of days we had, but it's within that first month.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I will say that most of the seclusion that happens in the district currently is with our youngest students at Meadowbrook. And so we opted, Renee, Kate, and I opted to have that same attorney come in the first few days of school to do a more thorough training at that grade level, just because that's where primarily those incidents take place.
And then I guess in terms of under preparation for implementation, you mentioned like reviewing data to look at frequency patterns. I guess who's looking at that and who's gonna be responsible for inputting it? So, and like determining what meets the threshold of a pattern.
That would be the principals that are responsible for monitoring that data, collecting that data, reporting that data, and certifying that data, very similar to what happens now with the restraint.
And they're inputting it too based on like,
Yeah, so they can choose to input it once a year, but DESE is encouraging you to do it as it's happening. So as it happens, it's supposed to be reported to the principal within 24 hours, and the principal is supposed to notify the family within 24 hours of that. And DESE is encouraging them to use that live portal to enter it in real time.
and are those things that when we think about the revision of the policy and.
Yeah, those things are.
Sources that then should be embedded within that policy, so it's not just a DESE recommendation, but more so like a commitment to saying, like, we're upholding what DESE is telling us we should be doing by stamping that within our internal policy?
Yes, what you'll find that in the JKAAR. Yep. But that's recommendations by our attorney group.
Okay.
And I would encourage the principals to accept that as it's written, because they are making sure they're following it to the letter of the law. So, I mean.
Absolutely right. We need you to okay something like that to give us more teeth, right?
Yes.
But I'm not sure how you want to do this, because I think you need to have multiple.
You do.
Readings, though, yes.
Yes, we can waive
In the
it.
past,
But-
we waived, if you have consensus of the board, if no one objects, you can waive and then vote. It's up to you though.
I mean, I would say I would like to at least do 2 readings, only because there are so many layers to this work in terms of like who's reporting, at what cadence are we asking them to review the data to ensure that we're actually in compliance and that we're maybe seeking out the right signatures from the right families. And I don't know, I would be hesitant to say like just 1 read, only because we may miss something. And we may not have a chance to like read it as closely or as thoroughly as possible. And then are there mechanisms for collecting data on students who aren't yet identified? So I know that the one that you're saying that the principals are certifying is kind of watching seclusion opportunities, but are there reporting forms in place to kind of monitor kids who maybe something's happening in the home and now we're seeing more of a change in their behavior in school? So that those are also being monitored in a way so that if this does have to become something where seclusion is needed, that then these other pieces can kind of get triggered?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so specifically for kids who are starting to display, we usually start to involve counselors, the principals, behavior specialists, and then there are goals set around either behavior plans put into place, and there is always a data collection mechanism associated with that. So, but very good point, because you need to have that documented in order for you to use that, to go to that next.
Go to that next
Yeah,
level.
exactly.
That might be like a formalization of things that might be in practice, but maybe not necessarily as consistent from school to school or grade to grade or team to team. That if there's an opportunity to kind of support this work happening through those policies and through that data collection process, I just don't know that 1 read for myself personally would be enough to think through those.
I think that, I mean, we can still go forward with the training and make sure people understand, even if the policy is not yet in place. So I'm comfortable with that as long as everybody else is as well.
That's just.
I think, Jenny, we were just saying, just because the way it was put in there, they cannot access the links. So can you do me a favor and download the links there?
Oh, these are, you can't go in and.
Correct.
For whatever reason on the PDF.
It's sent to us as a PDF, so we
Right.
can't click on links.
Oh, I'm going to share the two things that you share with me, or?
If you don't mind, but I can certainly go through and download those onto PDFs and send it to you in an email.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And I can forward it to all of you, so then you can have it and.
We can look
Review.
at it again at the
Perfect.
next meeting.
Because I have a lot of questions, but I think they'll be answered. Like, are
Absolutely.
we only notifying parents of children that are on an IEP existing already, or all families?
Can you say that again? I'm
The
sorry.
parent notification letters, is that going to all families or just children that are on an IEP?
I would say all families should have some form of the communication so that they're aware, because to Sarah's point, this isn't for special ed kids. This is for any student that may be struggling for any reason, not necessarily because they have a disability, but it could be some other thing that's happening in their lives that's causing them to be more dysregulated now than they ever have been before. So I think there might be multiple layers to how we communicate this, maybe something more generic so that families are in general aware. But if there's kids that are on our radar as being, have had those behaviors in the past, that we might give something a little bit more specific to those parents.
Could you all educate me, though? I'm sorry. So how does it work here in East Long Meadow? So do we have a policy subcommittee? Or is it
Yes.
just brought to this level, or help me? Okay,
Usually the policy subcommittee would meet
okay,
and draft something
okay.
and then come to
And
the
then come
meeting.
back. Okay, so if I just give it to you, then you get it to the right people and okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I guess the other question I would have, and this is from like lived experience, but work we do with our substitute staff that come into the schools to educate them about this policy. Having been a substitute myself in the past, you're not always brought up to speed about some of
Yeah.
these things.
I mean,
Particularly if you are in a separate environment as a sub.
I mean, I can't speak for what the principals do, but if it was my school, if I had a substitute, I'd say if anything happens, please call me. Don't try to deal with it yourself. So I don't know, what do we do for training is there some sort of standard training for substitutes? That's not sort of my area of expertise.
Oh,
No, that's something we need to work on.
okay.
Okay, but I mean, certainly, I guess we could add in, like, when we talk to the principals.
I'm just gonna say, I guess what I would like to
Definitely.
see in the policy, if it's not there, is a sentence or something around how we're going to communicate that to any staff in the
Yeah.
building. So, I'm sure we could get some data on how many substitutes we bring in. It's I'm certain the permanent subs are obviously gonna get some of that, but,
Daily subs are.
yeah, and I would guess just while the policy is for all children, that you're gonna experience this more if you're subbing in a separate environment or supporting as a para in a classroom. So I'd like to see something.
And that's a good call. We should almost have a sub manual. I've been in a lot of other districts that in order to be a sub, you go through a training and you have a manual about how the district operates on certain things. So that's a great idea.
But while we're working that out, when we meet with the principals tomorrow, we can talk them through that, like how they would handle that, how they would notify a sub, what their responsibility would be in a situation like that.
And can you clarify too, I don't want to make an assumption, so staff receive the PowerPoint. When we say staff, like how broad is that?
It's anyone working directly with students, so it would be primarily teachers and paraprofessionals.
But thinking about aides, volunteers, recess, because I could see seclusion being used during recess. You're told to go somewhere and not move. So thinking about how that applies to staff more globally.
Yeah.
And ensuring that everyone receives that information so that it's not, well, I didn't know, or
Yeah,
nobody told me, or I didn't complete said module, and then we don't have a record that also would affirm what that individual
Yeah.
was saying.
It's a great idea. Could we include it for everybody? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just have to work together to make sure that all the principals get that message and how to get that out to all the
Good timing.
recess monitors, noon aides.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, perfect.
Yes.
We'll talk. I know that the lunch staff do like the food allergy testing, PD. So we just have to kind of make sure we know who's usually asked for do different things and then roll it out.
One of the things that I don't think we do here that might be a practice worth exploring is having a student response team that is trained specifically and everybody knows to call that team. I don't know that that is articulated clearly at each school. When I look at the list of who they're training for the more hands-on training, it seems to be a little bit of everybody. And also, to your point, Carrie, people that are assigned to these substantially separate classrooms. But in reality, once you get out of Meadowbrook, those kids aren't the ones because, if you've got a solid program in place and good teachers, they're pretty regulated most of the time, in most circumstances. It's really those, the younger kids that, it could be any one of the younger kids, not necessarily someone that's been identified as a disability, having a
So
disability.
in our admin council meetings, we have weekly admin council meetings starting on September
10th.
Thank you. And part of that is we're going to start embedding safety within that. And so that would go to the safety discussions we have. And so we can decide what we want to call it, but like a crisis team at each school or.
It's just,
They do have a crisis team, but-
like for, if it's a
Right.
sub or if it's someone out at the playground that's not
Right.
typically in that situation, if for everybody, it's called the team,
Correct.
then that's a lot easier to explain to someone that's not there every day.
Right. And that can be another manual that we develop
Yeah.
collaboratively, which is
Yeah.
very powerful. And I have lots of different examples and they're easy to find from other districts. So you can just East Long Meadowize it.
And a lot of times MASC comes out with sample policies.
They,
That's
all of them.
That's what this one is.
Yeah, that's what this-
Sorry, without being able to click, I just wanted to make sure. So that is connected directly from the MASC link.
Yeah, this is where I got that from. And I did have our attorney check it over and they agreed with it as is.
Okay, yeah.
All right, well, thank you. So this will go to the policy subcommittee. And do you think 2 weeks is enough time
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
meet with the committee and do a draft?
We're okay to go forward with the training of the staff so that we're not out of compliance.
Yes.
I'm perfectly comfortable with you guys taking as much time as you need. Like, to Sarah's point, we want to get it right. We don't
Right.
keep coming back. Okay.
In an ideal world, you want to be able to notice parents, so.
Yeah.
The beginning of the year, when we get our 10,000 pieces of paper, last now with our school.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, last item.
Like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Candy Goya, I'm the Administrative Health Services, starting my 4th year with the district. And one of the things that I've been wanting to do is to revise our standing orders. It's not exciting, this is not an exciting topic, so I'll try to just give you a couple of bullet points of the purpose, the why, the what, and our goal. We have, I have to get my glasses, and I forgot them, I can't see a thing. So the purpose, the medication standing orders have been developed to ensure that East Long Meadow Public Schools has current, consistent, and clearly defined medical direction for managing common and emergency student health needs. The why, the updated clinical guidance ensures our standing orders reflect current standards of nursing practice in Massachusetts Department of Public Health requirements. Consistency across the district provides school nurses with standardized direction and expectations at every school. Student safety establishes clear parameters for when medications can be administered and supports appropriate nursing assessment and clinical judgment. Timely response enables nurses to respond appropriately to common health concerns and emergencies without unnecessary delays. Provides nurses also with defined medical direction, documentation, expectations, and appropriate safeguards. And it creates a framework that can be reviewed and updated as regulations, clinical guidance, medications, and students' needs evolve. What do the standing orders do for our district and for our school nurses? The standing orders provide medical direction and define parameters for school nurses. They do not replace nursing judgment, student-specific medication orders, parent guardian authorization, or emergency procedures when those are required. School nurses remain responsible for assessing the student, determining whether the circumstances meet the order's parameters, administering medication appropriately, documenting the intervention, and determining when additional medical evaluation or follow-up is necessary. And our OTC general medications are Tylenol, ibuprofen, Tums, Benadryl, calamine lotion, bacitracin, and Refresh eye drops. The respiratory and emergency care medications include albuterol, oxygen, epinephrine, naloxone, and aspirin for suspected cardiac symptoms. And some other generalized health needs are glucose monitoring and Mickey button replacement. And lastly, our goal is to provide our school nurses with clear, current, and consistent medical direction that supports safe nursing practice, and most importantly, enables us to respond effectively to our students' health and needs. So I think the last time the orders were revised was in 2015. So I just kind of went in and aligned them with DPH standards and made them more uniform. They flow much better. They're more consistent. So that's it.
Any questions? No. We need to accept these.
I believe they need to be approved, yep.
Okay.
The next step is they would go to our school physician for her to sign off on, and then I sign off on them so that my nurses had them for the start of the school year.
So where these kept, Candy, in each nurse office?
Yes.
They have like a booklet with these in there?
And they also, I have a Launchpad, it's a Google Doc with hyperlinks, so they're also found on there, that the nurses also have access to that as well. So they don't have to dig for papers.
Make a motion.
Motion to accept the new standing medical orders as presented.
Motion made by Amy. Seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was the last item. Someone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a question before we adjourn? Do we have our student reps, or do we know when we're gonna have our student reps?
We normally reach out to Frank, so when school starts, they normally gather that information, and then we'll reach out to him, and then they normally meet with the superintendent and get the schedule, and we kind of go from there. So beginning of school year, maybe like toward the end of September, I assume.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, or a motion? I make a motion that we adjourn.
To make a motion to adjourn.
I did. Someone just
All
needs
right.
to second me.
Carrie,
I will second.
and seconded by Amy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Carries 4-0. Thank you.